Yep, today we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. But while Sega's Blue Blur is famous for blazing trails at insane speeds, there's one tiny, microscopic, hardly even worth mentioning problem with all this. If Sonic was actually running at the speeds he claims to be, science says there's no chance he'd be alive right now. Not from a video game, not even in real life, not even from the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, I know he's not from there, but whatever. So today we're putting Sonic under the microscope, breaking down the science behind his speed, and asking the all-important question. Could Sonic really survive the speeds he's supposedly running at? Or would reality flatten him harder than Eggman's career post-2006? Before we can actually start working on this, we have to establish a baseline. How fast is Sonic supposed to be? According to various Sega manuals, games, and interviews scattered throughout the decades, Sonic's top speed clocks in at around 1 Mach. That's about 1,235 kilometers per hour, or roughly the speed of a sound in an air dryer at sea level. Some versions, especially the more chaotic comic continuities and TV shows, even push him all the way to Mach 5, which is 5 times the speed of sound, and that's getting into hypersonic territory. Territory we only reserve for experimental military tech and objects we hope don't explode. To put that into perspective, the average human sprint tops out at about 44 kilometers per hour. Thanks, Usain Bolt. And that's if you're counting literally the fastest person on Earth. Wearing optimized shoes, running on engineered tracks, and only sustaining that speed for about 3 seconds. Sonic's moving 28 times faster than that, all while flipping, spinning, and somehow not ripping his own legs apart. So yeah, there's definitely some red flags. Now let's talk about what happens to a body, or any body, blue or otherwise, moves at those kind of speeds. At Mach 1, air stops behaving like a gentle breeze and starts acting more like a solid object. Seriously, once you've crossed the threshold, you're no longer pushing through air. You're slamming into it. The molecules don't have time to move out the way, which creates something known as a compressibility effect. That's science speak for the air punches you right in the face. So imagine Sonic booking it across the terrain at over 1,000 kilometers per hour. Every second, he's ramming into walls, compressed air, dense enough to shred his entire body apart. But air resistance is only half of the hell Sonic would be dealing with. The next problem? Good old-fashioned friction. Let's say Sonic somehow survived the crushing pressure of the supersonic movement. His shoes definitely aren't. Running on solid ground at that speed generates immense friction between his soles and the surface. And friction, as you may remember from science class, creates heat. Like, lots of it. Melting rubber and toasting your toes kind of heat. In fact, materials like rubber start to melt at around 180 degrees Celsius at Mach 1. The friction from Sonic's shoes hitting the ground would easily exceed that, probably by 700 degrees. And that's not just warm, that's spontaneous combustion territory. And that's just the contact point. Sonic's entire body would be heating up from the sheer volume of air molecules slamming into him at incredible speeds. This is the exact reason why meteors heat up and glow when they enter Earth's atmosphere. They're not burning from the inside, and they're getting roasted by friction from the outside. So unless Sonic has some sort of built-in heat shield, he'd basically be a fuzzy blue fireball every time he takes a morning jog. Now let's talk about the iconic loops. Those gravity-defying circular roller coaster tracks that Sonic zips through like they're nothing. In reality, moving through a loop, especially at high speeds, generate g-forces, which are a measure of how much acceleration you're experiencing relative to gravity. Real pilots black out at around 9 Gs, and those guys are trained. Now, when Sonic hits a tight loop at Mach 1, those g-forces spike into the hundreds, depending on the size of the loop and how quickly he enters it. Hundreds of Gs is not just uncomfortable, it's fatal. Your blood gets forced away from your brain, and your internal organs shift, and your spine compressed like a cheap soda can. So unless Sonic has bones made out of titanium and organs that don't rely on blood circulation to function, there's no way he's surviving on those loop-de-loops. In fact, the only thing that would be doing a loop at this point is his detached skull running through the grass. Now let's get serious. Could a human, or anything even close to a human, ever reach these speeds in the real world? The shorter answer is, not even close. I mean, what did you expect? Carn Edge exosuits designed by the military, or DARPA, even race cars that approach those velocities need massive engines and advanced cooling systems like an aerodynamic design specifically built to reduce drag. And Sonic's out here doing it in canvas sneakers with no visible support systems, sprinting up walls through lava. So at this point, Sonic is either A, dead from air resistance, B, incinerated by friction, or C, jellified by g-forces. Which leads us to a very important question. What if Sonic isn't just bound by the laws of physics like the rest of us? And honestly, that might be the only explanation that makes kind of sense. Maybe Sonic doesn't run in the traditional sense. Maybe he's phasing, vibrating, or warping through space and time itself. Some fan theories even propose that he's tapping into some sort of quantum field to shift his position rather than moving through space normally. Or maybe, and let's go full tinfoil hat here, the Chaos Emeralds don't just give him power, they let him temporarily bypass the rules of nature entirely. Maybe he's running so fast that the reality just can't keep up, and that's why he's not dead. What does this all tell us? Well, put simply, Sonic's speed is completely, utterly, hilariously impossible by real-world physics. If he were actually running that fast, he'd be smashed by air pressure, roasted by friction, and liquefied through loops, all before finishing Act 1. But that's just a theory.